Hey guys, Brandon Lewis here with the TennCon Big 7, where we're going to bring you the 10 big news stories we covered from the week, the type of stories you will never hear reported by the left-leaning liberal media or the rhino establishment. Let's get into it. Tennessee received the 10th most unaccompanied illegal immigrant minors from the border since 2015. Tennessee is taking federal taxpayer money and funds to promote leftist environmental agendas, as if that should surprise you. We're well down that path. Planned Parenthood now receiving federal funding formerly allocated for the Tennessee Department of Health. A Murfreesboro woman arrested for allegedly spearheading human trafficking ring in Nashville. Over a dozen victims identified. Senator Taylor alleges Shelby County DA participating in illegal restorative justice schemes. That means letting criminals out, and they'll probably start prosecuting the victims here soon over in Memphis. It's coming. School and media reports that Red Bank High School student was touched inappropriate, but classmates say that the assault was far serious. And finally, some good news. We're going to close out with miracles amidst the tragedy in Clarksville. But before we do that, please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Hit that subscribe button. You can also search for Tennessee Conservative wherever you get your podcasts, and we are on there. If you would rather have us come in to your ear holes than your eyeballs, I can completely understand that. Before we get any further in the news stories, we need to get into the mailbag. We are running our annual fund right now, and we have gotten some fantastic support from folks. I want to read some of these notes real quick that people send me. Love your podcast and insight into politics. Keep up the great work. Please accept this enclosed donation. Unfortunately, with the economy as it is, this is all I can give right now. Hope it helps. Appreciate all you do, Diane. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you, Diane. I got this wonderful card from the Rowland family here that you can see. Thank you for sending that wonderful Christmas card. They are great supporters of our work here. We also have Dear Mr. Lewis, Merry Christmas and thank you so much for your work and your family. Got that in the old P.O. box. And so thank you so much, guys. And if I failed to read your Christmas card, it's because I put those things directly on some kind of decorative apparatus that Mrs. Lewis has at the house. So let's get right into the story. You can also follow us, by the way, on Gab, Getter, Truth, MeWe, and Rumble. You can even text 423-800. What is it? 423-205-5600. I think. Text the word news there, and you can get subscribed that way. Let's get into the stories. Tennessee received the 10th most unaccompanied minors from the border since 2015. Tennessee received the 10th greatest number of unaccompanied alien children, illegal immigrants, primarily arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. Of the total of 20,715 since fiscal year 2015. In fiscal 2015, the government began reporting the UAC data through the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is responsible for their case. In fiscal 2023, Tennessee received, listen to this, 4,568 unaccompanied illegal immigrant children. UAC also says that sponsors received 510, and in fiscal 2020, 4,267 in fiscal year 2021, and 5,821 in fiscal year 22. Looks like we're basically going at about a 5,000 per year clip, not counting the adults now. The adults, I'm sure, are much higher than numbers. The total of UACs sent to sponsored by the county for fiscal 2023 is no longer on the ORR or HHS websites as of December 14th. Imagine that. Discrepancies were discovered in ORR published data between the number of unaccompanied illegal immigrants sent to sponsors in a state and its counties. The differences were reportedly because not all UACs are sent from sponsors. Many are sent to families managed by NGOs. These are these nonprofit groups that take your tax dollars to promote illegal immigration in our country, receiving tens of millions of dollars from federal and state agencies. These same state agencies, I think it was like the Baptiste group where the kids were molested and lost, the unaccompanied minors that were in this like weird concentration camp type environment where it's clandestine and they've got black plastic around, and we broke the story and finally they shut the place down. Bill Lee authorized it. I kid you not. This is the gospel truth. Moving right into these stories, for October, the first month in fiscal 2024, ORR reports that Tennessee received 542 UACs just in October. It's amazing. So we've got all kinds of stuff They were sent to the sponsors in the counties of Davidson, 169, Shelby, 106. The difference of 267 has been attributed to those who were reportedly sent to nonprofit groups. So that's what we're doing with your taxpayer dollars here in Tennessee, with your federal taxpayer dollars, because Tennessee Republicans will not do anything to stop illegal immigration. Not a thing. We recently did a poll here at the Tennessee Conservative News where we asked you on Twitter if you liked the job that your Tennessee representatives in the legislature or the governor were doing on illegal immigration in our state, and 85% of you said, I'm not happy. Well, I can give you a more in-depth analysis later on, but suffice it to say that in the last 3 years since I've been running this publication, every piece of meaningful illegal immigration reform legislation has been killed in committee by Republican leadership. And the only thing they were able to get through about illegal immigration was giving them professional licenses. That's the truth. It's amazing. Scroll for old comments. I don't know if I can see comments here. I don't want to mess up the newscast. Let's see. What do we got here? I'm afraid if I start scrolling, something weird will happen. So I'm just going to continue with the news. Tennessee taking federal taxpayer funds to promote leftist environmental agenda. In recent months, Tennessee has been expressing a desire to reject federal funding for education, yet at the same time, the state has decided to accept money and engage in a project that appears to promote and assist the radical leftist environmental agenda of the Biden administration. Based on information obtained through the state website, Tennessee is currently operating a program called the Tennessee Volunteer Emissions Reduction Strategy. The state has accepted $3 million from the EPA, who are funding the program through the Climate Pollution Reduction Program that was created by the Inflation Reduction Act, which we all know reduced inflation and in fact made it worse. Only the government can come up with a program that is supposed to help but actually hurts. This is the world we live in. The Tennessee Volunteer Emission Reduction Project is being done in conjunction with Black Millennials for Flint and Southern Alliance of Clean Energy. SACE states on their webpage that they, quote, work to address environmental, racial, because the weather has a lot to do with this, right? They work to address environmental, racial, social, and economic injustices through advocacy for equitable policies, practice, and programs that tackle our region's harmful reliance on fossil fuels and help avoid the worst impacts of the climate crisis. These people have been talking about a damn climate crisis since just the 1960s. World's going to be overpopulated. The sea levels are going to rise. The polar ice caps are going to melt. The ozone's going to be depleted. You can look at headline after headline after headline, prediction after prediction after prediction. Here is my general take on this. The weatherman cannot predict the weather tomorrow completely accurately. Next week, it's just a crapshoot guess. Yet, we are supposed to believe that these environmental experts who have gotten it wrong since this has really been recorded, right? All of journalistic history, you can go back and look at all of these dire environmental predictions. They've all failed. But they somehow have assembled this little cultish group that continues to believe them and to buy into it. It is amazing. It is amazing. They're the same type of people that would probably get behind the Hail Bop comment if they were given a little bit more encouragement. They also received and contributed $5,000 to the city of Knoxville candidate Amelia Parker through their Tennessees for Clean Energy PAC. Black Millennials for Flint, according to their website, quote, envisions a nation where community leaders unite to seek environmental justice for lead-free African American and Latino communities. Got to get the lead out. That's what I always say. Critics of the program are insisting that Tennessee should immediately cease the Tennessee Volunteer Emission Reduction Strategy Program and return all related funds from whence it came. Good luck. Good luck. We love federal money and corporate money here in Tennessee. Even during the pandemic, Governor Lee would not give the constitutional protections for medical freedom allocated in the Tennessee Constitution to people that were federal workers because he wants the money. And he wouldn't do it for medical workers because he fears the corporate medical lobby. I'm telling you guys, money talks. Guys, listen, if you want to reach the most engaged conservatives across the fruited plain of Tennessee, the 3 grand divisions, you can advertise with us. Go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit that advertise button. We have podcasts, live reads. Our newsletter has high open rates, lots of engagement. We have all kinds of social media platforms where we can tell people about your event, cause, product, service, if it's conservative in nature, or if you're running for office, we will run the ad. Now, that does not mean that our editorial comments will be changed. They won't. There is a news publication that you can pay that is quote-unquote conservative in the state, and if you give them some campaign money and ad money revenue, they will pretty much report however you tell them to. But we here at the Tennessee Conservative, because I take no money from the publication and we're grassroots funded, I can tell folks the truth, which is my inclination to do. Next story. Planned Parenthood now receiving federal funding formerly allocated to the Tennessee Department of Health. The Tennessee Department of Health has lost federal funding because abortion options are no longer discussed in counseling with pregnant patients. The state has previously been the recipient of approximately $7.1 million per year in Title V federal funding. These funds were to specifically be allocated for family planning for low-income patients and dispersed to the health department. But with Tennessee's abortion ban, the federal government has disqualified Tennessee as a recipient. According to federal officials, Tennessee health departments would have to include out-of-state abortion referrals to pregnant patients in order to maintain funding. While the Tennessee Department of Health no longer receives the funds, a large portion of what was originally sent to the state is being specifically sent to Planned Parenthood in Nashville. Memphis, and Knoxville. These clinics claim to offer birth control, STD testing, cancer screenings, vasectomies, and referrals to abortion options for those seeking to terminate their pregnancy. It's amazing that taxpayer dollars can go toward murdering children in the womb, but this is the culture we live in. All right, guys. Next story. Murfreesboro woman arrested for allegedly spearheading human trafficking ring in Nashville, over a dozen victims identified. TBI has announced that they are continuing to investigate a human trafficking ring in Middle Tennessee following the rescue of over a dozen victims from just last week. This fall, the TBI agents learned about a 50-year-old woman named, this is going to be a hard one, guys, Yilbeth Rivero de Caldera, or Yibby, who was allegedly trafficking Hispanic immigrants, imagine that, for commercial sex in the Nashville area. We can't get Republicans to do anything about this. Not a damned thing. It is amazing. Kids can be molested out the wazoo. We will not pass a single law to turn off the employment, the benefit, or the education magnets in our state. They just continue to let it run amok and just point to Biden. Oh, it's Biden's fault. Oh, it's a federal issue. The hell it is. It's a corporatist issue, which is why y'all won't touch it. Every time we try to pass some kind of illegal immigration reform in this state, the Chamber of Commerce, which is not a conservative organization, the Tennessee Business Roundtable, and all of the muckety-mucks who fund the campaigns, the lobbyists, the political action committees, they descend down there and basically convince rhinos not to do the bidding of their constituents. It is like clockwork regularity. We'll see if anything happens this session, but don't hold your breath. Back to the story. De Caldera allegedly took most of the money and did not allow women to leave their hotel rooms, reportedly keeping their immigration documents to make sure they stayed. On December 14th, an operation was conducted to rescue the victims at the Super 8 motel in Murfreesboro. More than a dozen victims were identified and offered resources through nonprofits. TBI stated that 7 of the women were accepted to help with organizations. Yibby was originally arrested in Rutherford County. She has since been moved to Davidson County Jail, where she's been charged with 9 counts of trafficking for a commercial sex act and being held on $900,000 bond. Amazing. Right here in the good old conservative state of Tennessee. Wonder why we don't see so much of this reported by the mainstream media. I wonder. Probably because the corporately funded left-leaning media in Tennessee are the same people that send the PACs, the same people that send the lobbyists up to Nashville to lobby against the interest of Republican primary voters who send their representatives to Nashville. Next story. Tennessee State Senator Taylor alleges Shelby County DA participating in illegal restorative justice schemes. State Senator Brent Taylor is bringing accusations against the Shelby County District Attorney after already asking that the DA and a local judge be investigated. Taylor says District Attorney Steve Mulroy seems to be working with liberal justice reform groups in an effort to allow dangerous criminals to remain free by eliminating state bail. These Democrat-controlled cities, Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, are starting to devolve into these homeless hellscapes, panhandling, loitering, public intoxication, people out of their mind. We've got folks in downtown Chattanooga here, where I moved out of after 20 years because the crime got so bad, getting shot, like in the downtown area where it's supposed to be policed, like just all kinds of crazy stuff, drive-bys. None of this stuff is prosecuted. None of this stuff, law enforcement in these Democrat-controlled cities in Tennessee is a joke. Taylor argues that Mulroy is not acting in accordance with legislation from state lawmakers with the intent of cracking down on crime. Taylor, who serves in the Tennessee State Judiciary Committee, says they all advocate ending cash bail and they all support lenient prosecutions. A letter sent by Taylor this week requests that the Tennessee District Attorney Conference obtain additional information about what Mulroy's contacts with these groups actually entail and how they could potentially impact the judicial system in Shelby County. Quote, what we have in Shelby County, unfortunately, is a progressive DA, but what we need is an aggressive DA, said Taylor. We need someone who is serious about prosecuting these people who are committing these crimes and incarcerating them. That's the only way we're going to send a message out there that there are true consequences for their actions. Our community is in crisis mode. We are in a crime crisis and don't have the luxury of time to see if these restorative practices are going to work. They don't. Those restorative practices don't work. Did you know that Tennessee, I just recently pulled it up, and Mayor Kelly, who's like one of the worst mayors in all of Tennessee, continues to try to like pull the wool over constituents' eyes by talking about what he has done on crime. And, you know, you pull up the statistics and like there are only 1% of cities, 1% of cities in the United States that are less safe than Chattanooga, which means 99% are safer. I don't know if that's much to celebrate. Hey guys, listen, we're in the middle of our annual fund campaign. We need your money. Now, how can I bring you these news stories? How can I tell you the truth from a conservative perspective, not a rhino perspective, not a Democrat perspective, not a corporate perspective? How can I do that? It's because people like you send us grassroots donations to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377, or go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Hit that support button. I just recently mailed out meager bonuses, meager bonuses to our hardworking yet underpaid staff here at the Tennessee Conservative. They don't do this for employment. They do this out of a sense of mission. But without your support, we can't do it. I've been impressed and amazed at the support coming in for the annual campaign, and so I appreciate you. You know, everybody complains, we need more conservative media outlets. We need more conservative media outlets. But then I ask people, show me your bank account. Have you given? Do you frequent them? Do you help them? And the answer is usually almost always no. And that's the reason, because we've got to get people off the sideline financially. If you give any amount, we will send you this proud Tennessee Conservative, not any amount. If you give $50 or more, we'll send you this proud Tennessee Conservative tumbler. We'll also send you this proud Tennessee Conservative koozie. And if you give any amount whatsoever, we will send you these bumper stickers. Stop feeding the rhinos. And then we have another one here. Pardon me. We have another one here that says, don't California my Tennessee. And we will send you a directory of your elected officials so you can contact them when they try to continuously and constantly kill conservative legislation in committees and say, please, please don't do that. Next story. School and media report Red Bank High School student was touched inappropriately, but classmates say the assault was far more serious. While school leaders at Red Bank High School and media outlets report that a student in the school was sexually assaulted last week, the type of assault may have been substantially downplayed. Imagine this, government schools covering up how bad government schools are. According to a social media post, one of the victim's classmates, the attack was far more devastating than was shared in the media. Here's a story. Listen to this. This is amazing. I'm going to read this quote. On December 14th, a fellow student wrote in part, quote, one of our fellow classmates was sexually assaulted right here at home in the place we are forced to go daily. Student describing government schools as the place that they're forced to go daily. A foreign student who didn't speak English was taught by some people to say the N-word. Well, that's good. Multiculturalism is in full effect here, apparently. He didn't know what it meant. He says that 2 boys dragged him into the bathroom and sexually assaulted the boy, who was only 14. Another boy followed and recorded it on video before proceeding to post it on his Snapchat. Why wouldn't people want to send their kids into this environment? It sounds very wholesome. Very wholesome. The abuse we endure at school is not okay. This is a student. This isn't Brandon Lewis. Abuse from administrators, abuse from bullies, and they have zero tolerance for. Schools aren't safe for us, and we all feel someone should stand behind this student. None of our parents were contacted, and none of us students were informed. Hamilton County schools do better. This is our public education system. Several students walked out last Friday to protest what they say is common occurrence at the school. The assault took place in December 12th, but parents were not notified until 3 days later. 3 students accused of sexual assault have since been expelled. I'm sure they'll be back tomorrow. Next story, finally some good news. We're going to close on a high note before we get into Brandon's report of what we're doing this weekend, which I know is why everybody tunes in to the end. On Saturday, December 9th, Clarksville, Tennessee was hit with an EF3 tornado that left a path of destruction 600 yards wide and remained on the ground for 43 minutes. Gabriel Huff, the fine arts director of Clarksville School of Fine Arts, is thankful for a miracle that quite possibly saved hundreds of lives. Had the event occurred as it originally planned, a school event was a Christmas play to be performed at 1 p.m. on December 9th. But due to students moving out of the country, the school decided to move performance up to Saturday the 2nd with almost 300 people in attendance. Those in attendance would have been in the building at the exact time that the tornado had come through Clarksville, and so they were completely missed by that, and that is awesome. Huff said, quote, grateful and thankful to God who protected us months ahead before we had any idea of what the weather was going to do. Another miracle, a baby was found cradled in a nearby tree after the tornado swept him away from his home. It's like something you'd see in The Wizard of Oz. The family of the 4-month-old boy experienced a horrifying power of the tornado up close when 150-mile winds ripped the roof off their trailer and the baby as well. So everything turned out all right there in Clarksville, and that is completely exciting. Guys, what's going on? That's the end of our news story. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. There will not be another TennCon Big 7 before Old St. Nick goes down the chimney. So I just want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. Thank you for all your support, for following, etc. So what's the Lewis family going to do this weekend? I know this is a part of the show that I started putting in when I first started doing it, and I thought nobody would like it, but people seem to enjoy knowing our whereabouts. So tonight, I have a buddy from Washington, D.C., who's coming in, an old friend of mine that I've not seen in a while. He is on his way south, and he is going to stop at Casa de Lewis to hang out. We're going to go to the early service, I think 2 p.m. on Sunday. They're having a Christmas service we're going to go to, and then we've got some friends that we're going to hang out with after the service. I've got to work on Saturday morning, and then I'm hoping I have all day Sunday so I can take my youngest rock climbing. She's been after me. She's like a badger. She's like a badger. She's like a bear trap on your leg about going rock climbing. So we're going to go rock climbing. I'm going to take my youngest and my oldest there, and we may be getting into some other Christmas shenanigans. I'm going to be painting some portraits upstairs in the art room with my oldest. So I've got some hang out with the kids, do some things with the wife plans, and I hope that you and your family have a fantastic holiday season. Every year that we spend with friends and family celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and His redemptive glory, it really creates this foundation of memories that your kids have. And I believe that the reason the season is so cheerful, it's not about commercialism, as the left and the media would have you believe. It's not about holiday drag shows, as the Democrats and the leftists in Tennessee would have you believe. It is not about reindeer. It is not about elves. It's not about all that empty nonsense. It is about the birth of Jesus Christ. Merry Christmas. Take care, guys. Love you, mean it. I'll see you next time.